Hi everyone. Let's look at an article from Fortune which says school kids are so violent coming out of the pandemic that they are sending teachers to the hospital. And what do experts say about what can be done? Okay, so I have highlighted a few portions here. What is happening and what is the nature of discipline and how are teachers divided on it is the basis of the essay. So it starts with examples of what is happening with children and violence in schools. In Florida, a high school student beat a paraprofessional unconscious. Paraprofessionals are those who take care of special needs kids. A 15-year-old in Georgia left her teacher with difficulty walking. And a group of students in Texas sent their assistant principal to the hospital after an assault. So let us look at this. So there are two things that are happening. Two sides of the coin as to how to deal with unruly children. The one side says, let us adopt more restorative responses to misconduct, where we are actually building relationships with the child and the discipline policies that keep kids in school. So no suspensions, no expelling, nothing. Let's just build relationships with students. This can be a proactive approach, I would say. It's not necessarily after the fact. After a child has been unruly, the punishment has to be, it has to fit the bill. Otherwise, there might be trouble again. Okay, so on the other, there are calls for greater use of exclusionary and punitive practices like suspension. So, on the one hand, they are saying that, hey, let's not over discipline the children for whatever infractions they commit. Let's just keep them in school and try to build a relationship with them. Let's foster some kind of bonding so that things like this don't happen again. Okay, and there are other calls for more punitive practices like suspension. So let us see what is better, and I will also show you my take on this. So this requires recognizing a shared goal of safe schools and the need for a comprehensive approach to achieving it. So what the article author says is the point is, if we are divided, okay, there is still something that is common among us, that the ultimate choice, the ultimate goal for all of us is to keep schools safe. Okay, and of course somehow we need to create a comprehensive approach to achieving it. So that is our unifying goal. So for example, the National Center of Education Statistics found that 84% of public school leaders felt the pandemic negatively affected student behavior. Another survey found 2 out of 3 teachers and leaders perceived more student misbehavior in 2021 than in 2019. So I highly request people who are going through this article to understand that obviously there has been a change in how children behave, right? So what is the change? Let's understand. Let's come from there. Because outright disciplinary actions, outright suspension is also not such a great idea. And still at the same time, the punishment has to fit the bill. So otherwise, children might not be able to learn. So let's look at this. So some people have adopted school disciplinary reforms that reprioritize relationships between peers and with teachers, and positive incentives for good behavior and prevention of misconduct. So my own son's high school has this PBIS month, positive behavioral intervention. So what they do is they reward positive behavior. So we all of us contributed to gift cards so that teachers and students can be given away these gifts for exhibiting positive conduct. So this is a very, very good proactive approach, and also reprioritizing relationships. They are not here only for instruction and academic purposes, right? They also have to understand that relationships are complex. Why are kids acting out in 2021 more than in 2019? It also, we have to approach the kids and try to meet them where they are. There is also research that many of these less punitive disciplinary reforms are poorly implemented and less effective than hoped. So, okay, suspension is something that you get the child out of the school done, and we just like pat ourselves on the back. Okay, problem solved. Now the classroom is safe, the teacher is safe, and everything. On the other hand, if we don't understand the less punitive disciplinary reforms, they can be ineffective. That is what it's saying. So, here let us see, in some cases, removing students who are disruptive to the classroom has had positive effects on the other kids. Okay, but at the same time, suspensions are related to lower academic test scores for those suspended, as well as increased delinquency, such as criminal activity and arrest. So, what do kids, they don't, there has been a problem in the first place because of which the child has acted the way they have. Okay, so if there is suspension without explanation or without helping them understand the severity of what they have done, again it will lead to lower academic scores and a score of other issues for us down the road. So, path forward. Okay, so all this is good, but what is the path forward? The path forward is effective school discipline policies can include both restorative and exclusionary practices. So, a combination of this kind of a middle ground can work. So, they highlight 3 points. How can we make our schools safer? The first point is this. The second point is strengthening their school climate through excellent instruction and positive relationships between students and teachers. Again, this is the proactive tip that we were talking about. And the third is, I can't overstate the importance of what this third point is. Policymakers can recognize that the school safety is affected by the experiences of the students outside of the school. So the child is acting up inside the school, but what has led to that behavior? What is happening outside of the school? What is the environment around the child? Addressing the trauma, violence, and social disruptions. And one of my friends works in a very, very poor Title I school, and she says children are just hungry. They come hungry. She has to buy breakfast, she buys lunch, she does everything out of her own pocket. And she says, it's, we need to be able to understand what kind of a home life they have. So this is a little bit of what I have said. I just want to highlight, how do you get kids to listen? I will leave a link to this article down, but just want to highlight a couple of points here. See, our kids are living more and more complex lifestyles. Okay, they have to manage and navigate their lives both online and offline. What has happened after the pandemic that is leading to all these issues? Are children not being able to cope with coming back to the face to face medium? So, this is what we have to understand. And again, admonishing children for their behavior, we cannot expect change to happen going forward. So, just because you discipline them now does not mean that they are all transformed and great, right? But for change to happen, appropriate behavior must be taught and modeled by caring adults. So again, when there is a subtle difference between why children rebel and why teenagers rebel. So here, teenagers, when there's children, when their sense of security is compromised, acting out can be whining, manipulating, disrespecting, questioning authority, and all these things. Teens, when they do this, they are actually trying out new ideas. They're actually trying out their leverage. Do I have a say in this matter? Can I actually put my point across without being interrupted or questioned? That is what they're trying out. They're trying out all these new ideas as they become their own person. So, for example, if I tell my son, "Hey, you have to attend a party with me," and he says no, if I say, "Nah, well, it's okay," in his head, he's actually thinking, "Why are you listening to me, mom? You just need to tell me where I have to be and what I should be doing in spite of how I feel." They are just testing out the limits of our patience here. And I will actually leave this article here, but every behavior, whether it's a tantrum or lack of regard for your authority, is a form of communication. That is the most important thing for us to understand. So proactive measures, are they better? Of course they are better. Building all these things take time and patience, but in the end they pay huge rewards. So harsh punishment might work in the short term, but it's not something that will be a long term solution for us. So something midway, if you are going to do this, these are the consequences. If we can explain to children what is going to happen, and of course if that happens, you're like, hey, I told you that these are the repercussions and you have to face them. That is what is going to work in the long term. Thank you.